Authority is the power to give orders or make decisions. In the context of organization, authority is the legitimate power that is linked to each position in the organizational hierarchy. It typically involves the right to command, to perform, to make decisions, and to use the resources. 4 management theories have attempted to explain the nature of authority. According to the classical theory of authority, authority flows from top to bottom in an organization and is a function of position held in the organization. When removed from his or her position in the organization, the person no longer has the authority that is associated with that position. According to the acceptance theory of authority, superiors can exercise authority only if the subordinates accept it. That is, the manager has no authority unless subordinates choose to accept his or her commands. According to situational theory of authority, the nature of the situation should be the force that grants authority. For example, if a fire starts in a workplace, the worker nearer to the situation exercises authority to deal with the situation. According to the competence theory of authority, the person most knowledgeable in a given situation has authority by virtue of his or her expertise. In the context of organizations, the term authority in general implies classical form of authority. Responsibility is the obligation of a subordinate to properly perform the assigned duty. When a superior assigns a job to his subordinate, it becomes the responsibility of the subordinate to complete that job. Accountability refers to the answerability for the performance or outcomes of assigned job. Authority is the power to act, give orders, or make decisions. Responsibility is the obligation to complete a job. Accountability is the answerability for the performance of the assigned job. For example, a superior assigns a job to his subordinate. Here, the superior is using his authority. Once the job is assigned to a subordinate, the subordinate is bound to complete this job. Or in other words, the subordinate has the obligation to complete the assigned job. This is the responsibility of the subordinate. After completing the job, the subordinate reports the outcome of the assigned job and accepts the consequences, whether good or bad, and this is accountability. Delegation involves giving authority to subordinates for carrying out specific activities. It is the discretion given to a subordinate by a superior to make decisions. Delegation of authority involves assigning greater responsibility to subordinates. When a superior delegates authority to a subordinate for carrying out specific activities, naturally, the subordinate will be held responsible for completing those assignments. 3 major factors that are implicit with delegation are assignment of responsibility, delegation of authority, and creation of accountability. Delegation originates from the fact that one person alone cannot personally accomplish or completely supervise all of what happens at an organization. For delegation to be effective, number 1, tasks should be assigned in terms of results expected from a position. Number 2, there should be parity of authority and responsibility. Number 3, there should be well-defined clarification of limits of authority. Number 4, command, orders or guidance should always flow to a subordinate from one delegating superior. And number 5, there should be an open communication between subordinate and delegating superior. Decentralization is the tendency to disperse formal authority. Centralization, on the other hand, is the concentration of authority. In a relatively decentralized organization, considerable authority and accountability are passed down the organizational hierarchy. On the other hand, in a relatively centralized organization, considerable authority and accountability remain at the top of the hierarchy. Decentralization does not necessarily mean distribution of authority in respect of all activities. One function may be decentralized and another stay centralized. For example, in an organization, research and development may remain centralized, while the sales function may be decentralized. Decentralization is actually an extension of the concept of delegation. Delegation can take place from one superior to one subordinate and is a complete process. But decentralization will happen only when delegation is made to majority of the organizational members. In the words of Henry Fayol, everything that goes to increase the importance of subordinates' role is decentralization. Everything which goes to reduce it is centralization. Complete centralization means there is no delegation. On the other hand, if there is complete decentralization, then there is complete delegation. In an organization, complete centralization or complete decentralization is not possible. If there is complete centralization, then all the decisions are centered at a point, or there is only one superior with complete authority and no subordinate managers under him, leading to a state of no organization structure. Similarly, if there is complete decentralization and managers delegated all their authority, their status as managers would cease, their position would be eliminated, and again will lead to a state of no organization structure. Centralization is concentration of authority at the top of the organizational hierarchy. On the other hand, decentralization is the tendency to disperse authority down the organizational hierarchy. Advantages of centralization includes ease of coordination, avoids duplication of efforts performed by different units across the organization, standardized policies and procedures, uniformity in decision making, suitable to deal with emergencies, and reduced costs. Disadvantages of centralization includes overloading of top-level managers, inappropriate for routine decisions, discourages initiatives at lower levels, lack of flexibility, and delay in implementation of actions. Advantages of decentralization includes unburdening of top-level managers. Top-level managers can devote more time on strategic matters, better initiatives at lower levels, facilitates setting up of profit centers, and more flexibility. Disadvantages of decentralization includes high cost of operation, complexity of coordination, non-uniformity in decision making, chances of interdepartmental conflicts, and extensive decentralization may lead to loss of control by upper level managers. Authority once delegated can be enhanced, reduced, or taken back by the delegator. Re-centralization is decentralization of authority that was once decentralized. That is, authority delegation may be partially or fully withdrawn. If the situation demands, the top management may hold back the power or authority from the lower level managers that was earlier decentralized. Another concept that is closely related to delegation is empowerment. In the context of organization, authority is the power to act and is linked to a position. It is the right in a position. Empowerment is the power given to employees or managers or teams at all levels in an organization to make decisions without getting permission from the superiors. When employees are empowered, they should be willing to take responsibility also. There should be a balance between power and responsibility. If power is greater than responsibility, it ultimately results in the misuse of power, leading to an autocratic behavior of the superior who is not held responsible for his or her actions. Similarly, if responsibility assigned is greater than the power, then this will lead to frustration because the person has no necessary power to carry out the task for which he or she will be held responsible.